Today, we're unearthing what happened to Natasha Bedingfield. The pop singer-songwriter is best known for uplifting, top-charting anthems like These Words, Unwritten,
Still unwritten.
and Pocket Full of Sunshine.
Got a pocket full of sunshine. I got a love and I know that it's all mine. Oh.
Following the release of her third album, she took a long break from the public, which left people wondering about her whereabouts. In this episode, we dispel the confusion. Natasha Ann Bedingfield was born November 26, 1981 to Molly and John in Haywards Heath, United Kingdom. Her parents were social workers and devout Christians originally from New Zealand. They wed in 1978 and had their first child, Daniel, a year later. 3 months after his birth, with only $200 in their pocket, they immigrated to South London with a purpose to do good. Natasha was born 2 years after the move. Her parents went on to have 2 more kids, Nicola and Joshua. What was life like growing up? Well, money was tight, but there was no shortage of faith and creativity in their household. In an Entertainment Tonight interview, Natasha recounts how her family survived on a weekly grocery budget of £30 due to their mother's ingenuity. They would go to grocery stores like Tesco late at night and buy the discounted expired foods that were going to be thrown out. To make money stretch, they also thrifted. In that same interview, she said that in her childhood photos that she and her siblings looked like 70s kids because they wore the outdated trends of the era before them. Her parents did manage to provide her with piano and guitar lessons. Not sure if these lasted long because although it's mentioned in a lot of articles and biographies of her, I did read in one interview where she said that they couldn't afford them. Like many youth who grew up poor, she was eager to make a way for herself. She started working at a pharmacy and babysitting when she was only 10 or 11 years old. Her desire to write came about when she was 12 years old, but she wouldn't start writing consistently until she was 17. She was inspired by her older brother Daniel, who had already been writing and performing. The church she attended was led by brothers who pastored and sang together. These sibling pastors would encourage her and Daniel to go on stage together. She would sing and Daniel would rap.
Loves me better, makes me happy, makes me feel this.
When their little sister Nicola joined them, the trio formed the DNA algorithm. Daniel was the lead singer. Their sound was described as a fusion of R&B, garage, house, and hip-hop. Their purpose was to create change through Christ. Their unwavering commitment led them to decline a deal with EMI. Their parents managed them and used their ministry as a vehicle to push them forward. If they were pastoring somewhere, the kids would perform, and vice versa. They were a joint deal. Through financial donations, they were able to release Doing a New Thing, an EP in 1998. They were slated to release another EP that following year, but it never came out. Exact knowledge as to why the group disbanded is unknown, but what we do know is that Daniel was the first to succeed solo. In 2001, Daniel earned a #1 on the UK singles chart with his single Gotta Get Through This. He would score 2 more #1s from the singles off his debut album, which sold over 4 million copies. He would go on to release another moderately successful album before primarily focusing on behind-the-scenes work. Their sister Nicola also experienced success writing for artists like JoJo, CeeLo, Jesse McCartney, and Cheryl Cole, and creating music for advertisements and theme songs. Their younger brother Joshua recently released a single called Could This Be War? Now back to Natasha. Daniel's success came as no surprise.
Winner is... This is brilliant. I'm so nervous. You ready? Daniel Bedingfield!
Growing up, he was always the center of attention. Natasha knew her family loved her, but didn't think that they saw her full potential. Nonetheless, seeing her older brother make it made her feel she could do it too, and opened up the doors for her to be heard. Being a fly on the wall to his career taught her how to navigate the music business. Her brother unselfishly used his success to help her by championing her to anyone he encountered. This paid off when she got a meeting with Phonogenic Records founder Paul Lisberg. Initially, Initially, Paul wasn't sold, but once he heard her record songs that embodied the vision he had for his label, the deal was signed, sealed, and delivered. Natasha had been studying at Greenwich University but quit to focus on writing. Securing this deal was proof that she had made the right decision. In 2004, she released her debut album Unwritten, which featured hits These Words and the title track. Due to the global success of these records, it's easy to confuse either of these as her debut single, but in actuality, she had already had a hit song called Single, which peaked higher on the UK singles chart than the single that has become most synonymous with her, Unwritten, a coming-of-age song she wrote for her younger brother Joshua. However, it was these words that would put her and her brother in the Book of Guinness World Records as the only brother and sister to have separate UK number ones. Unwritten was her first top 10 hit in the US and became the most played song on US radio in 2006. The song became further immersed in pop culture when it was used as the theme for MTV's The Hills. The final single, I Bruise Easily, was less commercially successful in the States but did reach number 12 on the UK singles chart. The album earned her a Grammy nomination for Best Pop Vocal Performance and a Brit Awards nomination for Best New Artist. On the heels of a successful debut, Natasha would come back 3 years later with her sophomore project, NB. Unlike her first album that was released universally, this project only came out in Europe in 2007. The album wasn't as successful as her previous effort. It only peaked at number 9, whereas her debut peaked at number 1 on the UK albums chart. The album's lead single, I Wanna Have Your Babies, was a top 10 hit in the UK and Ireland. Her single Soulmate fared similarly on the UK charts. She promoted this record on Justin Timberlake's tour. Being on tour with Justin really inspired her to write. By the time she got to releasing her sophomore album in 2008 in the States, she had changed its name to Pocketful of Sunshine and replaced much of the songs that were on the European version. The lead single for it, Love Like This with Sean Kingston, did well, but her second single, Pocketful of Sunshine, would completely eclipse it, becoming her second US top 10 hit. The stateside success of the song would lead her to scrap additional tour plans in Europe, which would contribute to an ongoing feeling from European fans that she had abandoned them. The other singles, Angel, which I really like, and Soulmate were good, but didn't fare as well on the charts. In 2008, she was also a part of the Just Stand Up charity single alongside major artists like Beyonce, Mary J. Blige, Mariah Carey, and Rihanna, to name a few. She also made TV appearances on the Naked Brothers Band and Degrassi. In 2010, she released her third album, Strip Me, only in the US and Canada, anchored by the singles Touch and Strip Me. The sound deviated from her past efforts. It's a true representation of the era. EDM was popular, so there was quite a few dance songs on it. While her sound changed, her record still had plenty of substance. Overall, this wasn't a commercially successful project. It peaked at 103 on the Billboard 200 chart with less than 10,000 records sold in its first week. Like her previous effort, she had an alternate offering in Europe. The European version is entitled Strip Me Away and was released 1 year later with little promotion. The only single was Pocketful of Sunshine, which was a major disappointment for fans because it was a 3-year-old song that many had already heard. This choice only contributed to the sentiment shared amongst many European fans that she had turned her back on them. Having her second and third albums released differently according to territory resulted in fans getting completely different projects based on their location. North America got one version, Europe got another. In her independent interview, in reference to her albums being geo-blocked, she said, "I hate that," and felt like maybe my UK fans felt that I left them, which was just never the case. And honestly, I couldn't say anything about it because I was signed to my label and I didn't want to alienate myself with them. From 2011 until 2019, Natasha went on a hiatus, but it wasn't because of any drama. She just took a break to breathe again. She never stopped writing. In a Forbes interview, she said that she continued to write 100 to 200 songs a year. During this break, she wrote songs and provided background vocals for artists like B.O.B., Big Sean, John, Kanye West, Paul McCartney, Cheryl Cole, and Kimbra. She had a baby with her husband. She made the decision to leave the label that she had been with for her entire career because she just wanted to grow musically. Shortly after, critically acclaimed producer Linda Perry invited her to join her label We Are Here, and Natasha accepted. Why did Linda want to work with Natasha? Linda said she is one of the best live performers I have ever seen and has one of the most versatile voices I have ever heard. In 2019, Natasha released Roll With Me, exclusively produced by Linda Perry. This was the first time that Natasha had ever worked with just one producer. Natasha describes Linda as pushing her out of her comfort zone. Natasha's an overthinker who would constantly rewrite lyrics or stop and start while recording, but Linda wasn't having that. She would make Natasha keep going. They created all the songs acoustically before making them more intricate. The thought behind this was to ensure that the songs were good on an empirical level. She wanted to make people move. She thought a lot about how the songs would translate live. Like her previous efforts, the lyrics were thoughtful, but she stretched herself even further to discuss issues like gun violence and various social injustices. She was inspired by the music she grew up listening to from Motown, Aretha Franklin, and Marvin Gaye. She wanted to make music that spoke to the real life, not so nice circumstance while still being uplifting. Natasha released the singles Roller Skate and Kick It. Unlike her prior two efforts, there was no geo-blocking involved. All her fans got to enjoy it at once. Though the album wasn't a commercial success, she made something that she can be proud of, and in the end, that's all that matters. In 2020, she released Together in This for the soundtrack of the kids' film Jungle Beat the movie, which came out in June. It's a very uplifting song that speaks to our current times and also the traumatic experience she had in late 2019 with her son Solomon, who had to sadly undergo brain surgery. She and her family were very worried, but thanks to the support of her friends and family and the doctors at the hospital, they were able to make it through, and her son made a full recovery. Now that we've discussed her career, let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. In my opinion, Natasha, like many artists who debuted in the early 2000s, got lost in translation as times changed. This explains the massive dip in sales and chart performance with her third album. The segmented releases didn't help, they only contributed to her fans' discontent. They should have just universally released her second and third albums and marketed specific songs towards different regions to increase the overall success of the projects. I think to some degree that her or her label's lack of willingness to adapt played a part. When Natasha debuted, talent mattered, but at the turn of the decade, there became an increased emphasis on the peripherals surrounding the music. The successful pop artists of the 2010s were either gimmicky, conceptual, or pushed boundaries artistically. All had strong, clearly identifiable brands. I don't think Natasha invested as much in the aspects surrounding her music as her peers did. She wasn't doing acrobatics while performing. She wasn't changing her image with every album. She wasn't singing suggestive, newsworthy lyrics. She simply wasn't doing anything polarizing enough to hold the masses' attention. Natasha also never cultivated a distinguishable brand. She was just all about the music, which now is not enough. This led her to become overshadowed by her hits. She has even said it herself that her biggest hits have taken lives of their own. It kind of reminds me of Jason Derulo, who has hits, but he himself doesn't have strong name recognition. People passively support these types of artists. They know their songs, but don't know them. Natasha may have fared better had she found a way for people to buy into her as a person. However, I still feel she had a great run. Most importantly, she seems content about where she's at. From the very beginning, she was writing her own songs. She's even written songs for artists like Cheryl Cole and Brandy. This is impressive because back in the day, pop acts had to earn creative control. She also stayed true to herself and her beliefs. She had a majorly successful debut album and hit singles that can stand the test of time due to their universal themes. Even on her less successful projects, she wrote versatile lyrics about a wide range of subject matter, which is something that I can really appreciate because we get tired of hearing artists talk about love and romantic relationships all the time as though that's all there is to life. Between her catalog and continued desire to do music, she will always be able to eat. In the future, she has said that she wants to collaborate with Eminem, score a film, and star in a biopic one day. These goals will keep her moving forward. These are my thoughts on Natasha Bedingfield. What are yours? Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.